Here.
Mike. Present. Rick.
Here.
John.
Here.
Okay. Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public input. This is time and place for discussion items not already on the agenda with a time limit of 3 minutes each. And miscellaneous budget presentation, library.
Hi.
Last one. Hi.
Hi, everybody. As you know, you won't have me to kick around for very much longer. I am retiring. I'm very excited about our new director, Elizabeth Hoover de Galvez. She is awesome. I haven't met her yet, but I've talked to her on the phone. I've communicated with her through email. She's asked lots of questions. She is thrilled to be the director of the Lisbon Public Library. She's thrilled with the partnerships that we have made. Some of you got to meet her in the interview, I know Nathan did. And anyway, she's gonna hit the ground running, and I think you should all be very proud that we have built together this awesome library and community, and that you have offered this position as basically as a living wage position, full-time director of the library. That means a lot to me, and what was that? Was it the, okay.
The trees
The
coming
cheer?
through.
Okay.
Feel like the blossoms back.
Sweet, but anyway, I really appreciate all the support that I've received over the years. I've worked with a lot of different library board members, a lot of council members, a lot of mayors, a lot of administrators, a lot of clerks. Everyone has been super helpful in getting us where we are today. I really appreciate your help. Christina and Marcia have seen more of me probably than you have, but as far as I'm concerned, I've always gotten what I asked for. I've always gotten what I want. My joke is sometimes what I want changes a little bit, but I appreciate the support very much. So I'll hand it over to Daryl to give you the budget request for the year.
Before Daryl does it, I just want to thank you for all the years that you put in the county. I really
Do you know how many, Doug? Do you know how many years?
I know I've been there 12, this will be 16. 20.
Any guesses? Christina knows. She already knows, so no fair, but any guesses? I know, well, I started when I was, let's see, probably very young, 33, so, and I've been here 34 years. So, yeah, and I remember that because I was pregnant with our younger son when I started the job. So 34 years, and when I think of the changes that Lisbon has gone through, and the wonderful relationship, and I'm from Mount Vernon, which may have been an issue when I first started. I don't know. It's been awesome to see how the communities have worked together and how both communities have grown. And again, the partnerships in our communities have been one of my favorite things. So lots of wonderful things that we've all accomplished through the years, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you for all that you've done.
You're welcome.
You gotta follow that up.
Oh, yeah. With numbers, it's great. So the library budget, it's pretty simple, the request that we're making for this year. It's pretty much a 3% increase across all the line items. There are some larger adjustments to things like electric, gas expense, and insurance, because those are outside of our control, and those have jumped large in the last few years. So we're just trying to get them back into reality. The only other large increase, especially percentage-wise, that I think you'll see is in miscellaneous, and that's because the city keeps making a donation to the Dolly Parton Library, and that winds up on our budget. So that's just there for the city to continue if they choose to. So, any questions about any of the particular line items? questions, or you want to take any time? You want to go down line by line?
Any other questions?
No, this looks good.
Okay, cool, perfect, thank you. Appreciate your work.
Historical preservation. I think Becky is on.
A lot of them are.
Beck, you want to talk?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're kind of in the same boat. Ours is pretty much the same as last year. I think it is almost dollar for dollar. There's a question outside of our budget that we were wondering about. We think there's money left over from the insurance money that we got we didn't get it, the city got it for the barns. And we're wondering if that can roll over to this next year to keep working on the barns. Because we got $24,000 to get a preservation plan by an architectural firm out of Des Moines. And they'll be doing that probably in March, I think. And so we're hoping that we can use what's left from after Kurt did what he did. And because $20,000 could go a long way for matching for grants to keep working on those barns. And so that's basically it. Our budget for our group is the same as last year. No big changes at all.
Okay.
Well, I for one don't have any problem not rolling that over.
Do we have any?
You have,
Hold on.
There's just a lot of things that have happened since then. For instance, I'd have to go back through to see exactly if you're talking about the barns, but you gotta keep in mind, this is all out of the general fund. The general fund paid for work at the library, it paid for work at the history center, it paid for work at the nature park to include the water line that went in. I don't know what we got for the gazebo, but that's been put back there. The roof on the barn that hasn't had any work done on at all has been repaired twice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd have to just go back and look, but there's, when you do these other projects and you say find money, well, sometimes, when that's in the same pool of money as everything else. For instance, just be sitting there as an isolated item with an ear tag on it that says Barnes 20,000. No, that's not there. But that's up to you guys. Now, one thing I do want to mention, and I told this to John, you'll notice in the library, I did keep it at $7,500 for the west wall. That's for matching funds for the grant. I did put the west wall, the history center at $5,000. And Drayton, how much did we put in? Was it 5 or 10?
It was 10.
So we put $10,000 for the barns in the budget already. So potentially, that in the state size is one pool of money. Those are all matching funds. So there's actually right at 20,000 or better in matching funds. If we do come across a grant for either one of those projects, then we can do the amendment to show that. So at least 10 of it is there.
It was 10. We were going to allocate 5,000. So it was 10 under building maintenance and repair. We were going to allocate 5,000 for the barn specifically.
Yeah.
Just to clear that up.
So there is matching funds there for whatever project, but all three of these buildings all fall under the general fund, under the general budget in the state, how the state lays it out. So, but I can go back through and see exactly.
Well,
Go ahead.
there's been some confusion. I'm sorry, there's been some confusion. Number one is that when I talked to Drayton, I think it was before the last meeting or whatever it was. Anyway, I was talking to Drayton about getting money to help with a plan for the park itself. Nothing for the barns. It was supposed to be just for the whole plan for the park that we need to start kind of working on. And that's what the $5,000 was eventually to be hiring someone to help us do a final plan, which we would need to be able to get grants to work on the park itself down the road.
Well, I think we talked about at the last meeting, Becky, that the consensus was we weren't going to add another project at this time, that we were going to continue on the projects that we had in place and that we were working on. So that 5,000 was for the barn specifically.
Oh, I see. Okay. I didn't know how it got changed. Now I understand. Well, then there's one other question is that when we, whenever that happened, I'm terrible with time, but when we talked about the insurance money that the city was going to get because from the insurance company for the barns, the council had voted that that money would be used on the barns and not just in the general fund. And so, can you change that when you voted to have it used for specifically to rehabilitate the barns, to stabilize them? And
I think the only, I didn't go back through the minutes, but the only thing that was voted on was the quotes from Blink's Construction. But I can go back through and
I think we should go back and look, because I think originally it was to use that money for the barns.
Well, I know that it went towards it, but we can, we'll just have to go back and look and go from there. But like I said,
20,000 would do a lot of matching for a lot of grants to work on those barns. And if it's coming from the insurance company, not from the taxpayers, that seems like it would be a better thing too.
do you have a preference on library, west wall, or the barns that you want to focus on where we could move some of this before we finalize the budget? Because if you want 20,000 and they're good with it, I can move some of that money out of the west wall of each of those and put towards the barns, but we have to figure out.
I'm hoping the 20,000 comes from the insurance money that the council approved.
It's all the same. It's one pocket or another pocket. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is we have to figure out what our priority is and what we want to fix instead of trying to do everything all at once. I mean, there's money there. It's just in 3 different places. And the understanding was you wanted money put in each of those budgets for matching for a grant. So if your priority is the barns, we can move those other funds to this budget for next year, and then you have that money. But that's going to be up to council what they want for what the priority is.
Becky, let me ask you this. When you, supposedly when the barns do get done, what's the purpose of the barns? Are we going to be able to, people go in them and look around, or what? I mean, just, what's the purpose of these barns? I mean, I understand that they're historical and everything, but
right, yeah, we're looking at doing...
But let me just, hold on, let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sitting here, and when we spend money for the citizens of Lisbon, we have to look at, we're spending money, and we got to try to bring a revenue back. Like when we spend money at, I'm going to say the parks, we got to try to bring a revenue back for the citizens. When we spend money at the History Center or the library or something like that, we got to try to bring that money back. And the reason we're fixing the library, the History Center, is to bring money back for the revenue. I mean, are these barns going to bring a revenue back into us?
We're hoping so. That's why we're working with Silos and Smokestacks, because they're a national organization, and so they'll be advertising. We'll be on their map, and there's several of them of these. And would have the correct word, but they're agricultural and historic sites in like eastern Iowa and nationally, and we will get advertising and information out there, and it will bring people locally, regionally, nationally to come see these barns. What we're hoping is that we would do so it's interesting, educational, to where they can either walk in or have, so we'll have, as if they're looking at it and the farmer walked out the other door, and to have stuff, have equipment in there, and have signs and like things you can do on your phone to take a self-guided tour. The school's already extremely interested in having classes around that. And then we don't know until we get these guys to come look and see what we can do to fix them, if we can do something else to have one of the barns available to be able to be open, to be used for something. We don't know that yet.
Okay.
But we are thinking about ways to bring money in.
You've had,
And just to have another aspect, when people are coming to the sports complex and they're taking a break because they're waiting for their kids, they can go to this park, and
I'm 100% for the park.
and so that makes the whole thing more beautiful.
Don't get me wrong, I'm 100% for this park. Curtis Blinks has repaired 2 of the buildings right now. Is that correct?
He's done some repair.
Some repair,
Right.
but we cannot go in those buildings yet, right? We couldn't open them to the public.
No.
The first report read, we can never go in the building. They're not structurally sound.
Yeah, well, even if they were structurally sound, to have it open to where any kid could go in there and go up in the haymow.
Yeah.
Be a liability.
Yeah, they couldn't be open constantly. Our idea is to have them open gates so that people can kind of step in a little bit and be able to kind of be in the barn, and then have times when someone's there and they're open, and yes, you can walk in, but not without someone being there, because you don't want kids climbing up on stuff and then falling. You just can't do that. It can't be open, just open.
Well, Silos and Smokestacks has some grant program too that we're looking into, so.
Right. And they're also going to help us with a lot of the design work of what to do with them and how to do it. They've done not a million of them, but hundreds of them, these same sorts of things. And we had the conservation board, the director and deputy director out there. They're real excited about the park. They said there's really nothing. They said one in Iowa that was somewhat like this, but that this was a very unique situation, and that they said it was a great situation. They were very excited and going to help us find grants and such too.
I think the fact that we got money already budgeted there. As far as what was left on insurance, I don't know where we stand for sure, but we did
Yeah, I don't know
have a
either.
gazebo out there that was blown down, and whether the check was written for everything out there or how that all breaks out. I don't know if it's worth it researching all that, as long as we do have some monies available in case the group would run across some grants.
I mean, Brandon can look back in the minutes and stuff and find that. What we said.
Yeah, that's what we should do, because that's how I remember it, but I don't trust my memory anymore, as it all happens to all of us. But yeah, that's how I remember it, is that we had talked at the council meeting, and you guys had decided that to take that money and put it towards rehabilitating those barns. Actually, and it was the first thing was to stabilize them.
Right.
And that's it, let's do that. And so.
Is the goal to get, where's the money come to fix that besides city taxes? Do we charge the people eventually, or?
We can't rent the space unless we stabilize it structurally. So
Right.
there's no income from that. They can walk around the barns right now for free. We don't spend any more money on it. So there's that part of the attraction. But
The other thing, too, I want to check into is, I believe these barns were deemed total. So, right now, there's no, other than liability, there's no insurance on them. So if they blew down tomorrow, after the work we put into them, We don't,
We'd lose everything.
we'd lose that. So I want to also check into, at what point can you reinsure them?
That's a good point.
Because it's,
Good point, Rick.
that's something that I've thought of often, you know, we're putting this money into it, we need to protect that money,
Yeah, if we
but I don't
can't,
know.
we can't protect the investment, I don't know that I want to do an investment.
Right. So
Well,
I
right
kinda just,
And we went over budget on like the wall across the street for that project. and,
Correct.
I mean, the monies are a big pool.
so the
and-
thought was to have these 3 projects, you know, I think they do great at writing grants, so it would not surprise me that they get 3 grants, but, there is money in there, at least 20,000, in there right now, or real close to it, for a match. So if they were to get 1 grant for one of these projects, there's money there that we can match up to 20,000, or real close to it,
That
so,
we gotta be prepared to say goodbye to
correct.
if a high wind comes along.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Well,
they
for the
went
barn,
through
yeah.
some pretty strong winds, so I'm not as worried about that, but.
Well, that's true. They've gone through 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they went through two strong winds and they've got
First one
damage both times.
Yeah.
Well, the rest,
Yeah.
I mean, so the next high wind we get, I mean, God forbid we don't, our insurance ain't gonna cover it anyway, so it don't matter. Cause the barns have been totaled. So I mean, if we get another derecho, let's say, something to that effect, and those barns get the roof ripped off it, I mean, we're out that money anyway.
yeah.
Well, right.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly right. I mean, we can't insure it. And like Brandon said, he wants to look in to see how long it takes before we can reinsure it.
I do understand that, you know, what is gonna need to happen. But you also gotta look at is that it was the insurance money that we were working off of, and if we've done 40,000 of it, and now the historic preservation has pulled together 24,000 to have these guys look at it and see what needs to still happen next, then, you know, the city really hasn't put out anything.
Yeah, we haven't put out a lot. I mean, we bought the property. I mean, I don't think we haven't put out, the city hasn't put out anything yet. I mean, and the city has put out, I mean, they give you a budget every year, and they give you matching funds every year, so they do give you money every year for it. So don't say we're not putting out anything.
I don't mean it like that, but like, you know, you haven't put out $100,000 on these barns. I get that it takes money.
How much did we pay for Bracknell's property?
It was 12 something an acre,
And there's 15 acres.
yes, 15 acres, but we've received some
Or
substantial
13.
monies left to the city in recent times, and that could happen again too, especially for those people that are interested in preserving agricultural history.
I think we need to figure out what the priority is, and
I mean,
between the 3 buildings, because it's one budget. And like I said, I think grant money, from the way we've talked before, is really the single way to do it. There's money in each of those budgets for matching. Hopefully we can continue to do that. I'll go back and look through all that. I mean, this is back from 2020, so, but I think 21, we made we had the meeting about the work, so I can go back through and dig that up and.
Brandon will go back through and he'll have an answer at the next budget, or before we set final budget. So, all right?
Okay,
All right, thanks, Becky.
thanks you guys.
Historical Center.
This is pretty much the same as last year, other than we lowered the amount in the west wall to 5,000. If you go through there, so that's the 5,000 for the west wall, and the other contractual services. This is our portion we give the History Center. I believe it's to run their electricity and gas and heat and all that. And the taxes on the back, so 11,100.
Any questions? clerk, treasurer, and finance.
Nothing earth shattering here, this is just making the minor adjustments based on changes, wages up there went up a little bit. That's pretty much it, everything else is pretty close to the same.
Any questions?
Which is $1,600 for part-time.
That's the janitor.
Cleaning person.
Yep.
Oh,
It's in the notes right underneath there.
So in the notes right there, if you just read it. All right, anything else? City Hall.
This also has janitorial expense, but this is for supplies, so you can see that. Buildings, maintenance and repair. We may have to come back, we'll just have to see when this window gets done at Allied Glass. We're doing a budget amendment at the next meeting. I'm hoping to have, I'm gonna put all that in to be done by June 30th. So if this wall carries over in the next year, we'll have to amend this, but this is just for ongoing maintenance of the building. So I don't have that figured in for next year, hopefully it'll be done. Nothing on the, there's nothing on there that's really anything different. Actually went down a little bit.
Any questions?
you don't need is the city fall under like a server?
So they're all on a progression, like it's replaced.
Oh, okay.
So every so many years. We did a server and our firewall this last year. So.
Other government. Christine, you want to talk about the website?
So the Gov office has been purchased by a larger pool company. They've absorbed about 6 different little website companies. So we are being forced into a new contract, and that's why you'll see the increase in our budget from 1,000 to 3,500 because the increase is substantial. But we are working to possibly move our mass communication of Nixle over to the website as well, and if so, that will absorb that cost then.
So
It'll be almost compared apples to apples at that point.
So will is this new website, do you think it's better?
It's not that it's better. I mean, it's the same thing as still Gov Office. Nothing changes really for our end. It's just the parent company changed. But I know that from the state level, they want everybody for cities to be going to that Gov website, so we're already at that point. So there's really no point to change it to a .com or .net or anything and go through that major change.
So what you talked about Nixle, this new .gov has a Nixle built into it. It's a different alerting system. We'll just have to get people to sign up for that. But that's where the money is awash with what we're paying for Nixle.
Programs.
You can see the top, that's all just the revenues from miscellaneous burn permits, pet license, golf cart permits. These are just kind of guess based on where you're at the year before.
The burn permits are zeroed out.
So you don't get calls over there. Let me go to the expenditures. You just got the transfers. Really won't get into all that because that's all going to be covered under loss. So if you want that stuff to go in there, this will change based on what we approve for loss. So that's pretty much it for
Transfers.
What was that? Sorry.
That goes with it, Doug.
Huh? That goes with that?
Yeah,
Which one?
the transfer
Oh,
stage.
yep, yep.
So now we're on cable TV.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, actually, what's the revenue? Okay, so we have a franchise fee for cable TV, and this is through MediaCom. Per our ordinance, I was going through it, we're gonna have to talk to McCansville at some point. However, for at least for next year, you can see where we're at for cable TV through MediaCom. Just by obvious looking at this, the MediaCom is slowly diminishing here. You can see we're at 12,895, went to 779.77, now it's 66.41. I budgeted 6,000. You'll see we're at 26.18 for the year, so we're going to fall short probably of 6,000 or be real close to it. So, and what that is that's the franchise fee. I believe it's 1% for that, and that goes into this account. Then if you look on the expenditure, Mike had asked me to research for a city sign, and upon my research, I did find out that apparently this was a discussion topic before, because when they built City Hall, they actually fed an underground wire to this area for a sign, a lighted sign. So if you see this picture here, this is from Rickard Sign and Design. This would be a message sign. There's thousands of messages that can go on this thing, it's stored. It's two-sided. We'll go right, you can kind of see this picture is obviously out front there. The sign total cost, $42,000 for the sign, and then it's just shy of $3,000 for the install. If this was something you wanted to do, we would take, there's 27,000 in cable TV right now. We'd take 20,000 of that, and then I was thinking 25,000 of lost funds if this was something we wanted to do.
We've been talking about that for years and years.
I think we originally was just gonna put up on the wall, weren't we done? On City Hall?
Yeah, probably.
Like under or something.
That white piece of paper would be a real close idea of how big the sign would be. It's two-sided. We did go with the pixels, so that way if you were up close and walking out of City Hall, you could still see it. They do have for about 10,000 less.
Lower resolution.
It's a lower resolution, but you can't see it up close. It's something you'd see like coming over the hill or if you turn downtown. But as you got closer, it would start to blur. Again, you can put all different kinds of information on there. I know it's been a topic of discussion, at least through some council members, so I didn't know if that was something that piqued your interest. Thoughts?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's, you know, people say, you know, it's $45,000, but, I mean, just think of all the times you're driving around and you read the signs on banks.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you go to a small town and you read it's 52 degrees here, you know, I mean, it's, you're reading them all the time. We can put any, you know, anything for, you know, like it says on this one, our leaf collection, you know, we can do our leaf collection or brush and pick up or whatever, you know, Halloween town, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just.
Yeah, sign up for Park and Rec basketball.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you know, when people come into town, I mean, I think that's gonna make City Hall stand out a little bit too.
I agree.
But I mean, we're not voting on this right now.
No, I'm just gonna budget
Budgeting for it.
Yeah.
budget for it.
Is that price in the ball field that we look?
Well, so this company, I called two different places, they use the same vendor. I believe he's from Missouri. He brought the trailer up on the back of a Tahoe and had it in their lot, and I went over and looked at it, and he showed me the different projections, the pixels. So you see that cost is gonna be pretty standard where you go to 42,000. The only, you know, the $29.95 would be their cost for install,
So will that price stay that till July?
Yes, so I told him that we were meeting tonight. If this was something you would want to do, I'll probably put it on for discussion at the next meeting. So that way we can lock that in. And then I told them, you know, about June, if they wanted to start, they could start, and then as soon as July, they'd get paid, so. Then before you go to TIF, skip one here to 126, I just want you guys to know, downtown reinvestment, I put another 20,000, and that was like a request of historic preservation. We've done this for several years, I think we have 3. One we're approving tonight, has already done it, but there's 3 businesses downtown that received that money this year. It's not gonna be quite 20,000, I think it was around 17 and change, but I did budget for 20 for next year.
Hey Becky, you know this, for this downtown reinvestment grant?
Yeah,
So like when we approve it for, like we're gonna approve paying D&D Body Shop tonight, but there's some other ones that got money too, that we approved. Is there anything that says they have to have it done by a certain time?
yeah, in the guidelines, they just have to have it done, June or something, yeah, for the end of the
It's gotta
budget
be, so a budget year?
So we can get it
Yeah.
approved and the payment done before July 1.
Right,
So they could get it approved in July and not get it done till the following June? I mean, they could, what I'm saying is they could take a big, some company, Bill staff could take a big chunk of this and not do anything till next June. So you're holding it for a whole year. I take a big chunk and nobody else is gonna get it. Cause it's held up for a year, cause I didn't do anything for a year.
right,
Okay.
right.
I'm not sure I,
I mean, I
It's not right.
Yeah, if you ask for money and someone else jumps in and gets their project done first, and eats up our budget on that,
So,
how is there a set aside for earlier submissions?
Becky, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but actually this year is the closest we've come to getting rid of all the money and everybody received the award that was requested, correct?
I believe, yes, correct.
That's true too, yeah.
So I guess we haven't
Because
come down.
there's a limit to what they can get. They can't like get the whole 20,000.
But do we commit it at the onset of their application for this?
Yep, so you've already approved those 3.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
they approved them, they go through them, you guys approve them, and then they have until the deadline to get it done.
okay.
And then, like I said, there's still $2,100, so technically if somebody wanted a project to get reimbursed for $2,100, that money's still out there for them to
Right.
apply for it.
But it is earmarked at the beginning of the budget cycle or application.
I mean, I think it's a great idea, but I just have a problem with somebody getting it in October and not doing the work till June. And, I mean, where we could give that money to another somebody that wants to do something, but we don't have it because we've allocated it to this person. I mean, I think there should be a timeline of how long you should have before you get this done.
Number 2 is contractor, I mean, that was March, whatever, and we still got tied up. So,
Right, that's true. It's, you do need time.
I think it all depends on what you're doing, I get it, but, that could be a question in determining
Or
who gets the grant.
that person who's missing out because the money was already earmarked can certainly apply for the following cycle.
Yeah, but, okay, I'm just gonna use myself, for example. I'm doing a remodel right now. I'll be done by March, end of March.
And you didn't apply for any of this?
I can get whatever,
$2,100.
$2,100. But the person that's got $5,000 ain't gonna get his done till June. And that we approved that in August.
Yeah, you have
Well,
to apply for it.
Then I think you change the rules and set a shorter timeline.
I mean,
If that's something we're gonna face often, then
No,
you're right, maybe we need to change the rules. I don't think we've had to face it so far.
We've never faced it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just something maybe we need to look into, Becky.
Well, the one thing, because, well, number one, it's the city's grant, so you guys can, you know, change, and when it has been changed in the past, where we just did them as they came in, and then a few years back, we changed it that they needed to apply by like May or something, so that we had it for the next fiscal year. And so everybody's applying at the same time. It takes some planning to know you're gonna do this next year. And so it's, you know, it takes reminding everybody in district this grant is available, and that, you know, to get your bids and get your application in, so everyone's doing it at the same time. Now, we did in the past, and I can't remember if it's still in the guidelines, is that if there was money left over and somebody had like an emergency, like when Gwen's restaurant, the front got hit and damaged, if there was money, that we would let them apply for that, even though it was way past the due date, you know, for applying. But that we just try to do it, I mean, because, I mean, this is, you know, grants do this all the time, you know, and usually they have more people than they do money. And so we're kind of lucky that we're able to help everybody that wants to do something.
Yeah, I mean,
it seems to work out.
This is the closest we've ever been to 20,000, I know that, since I've been on council. I mean, I don't think we've ever spent the total since I've been on the council.
I don't think we have either. Or I know that we haven't gone over to where we had to, you know, say no to somebody.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've tweaked it, just a couple of years ago, we tweaked it, Brandon, that's when we upped the amounts and stuff, because the contractors and materials got so high that we thought, well, you know.
Yeah, I think
Brandon
it's
said,
up the percentage too.
yeah, up just a bit. Yeah, we did, right.
Okay, so where are we at, Brandon?
TIF.
All right, Jeff.
Christina, you want to go over that?
First page is just our normal revenues, taxes on TIF. We just went with our nice average there. The second page has our transfers out. That's our bond payments for the 380,000 GO bond, and then the sports complex portions that's paid out of TIF, plus the downtown rehab, the 20,000, and then our TIF rebate is all we have right now is budget lines, and that's about an estimate of what theirs will be next year. So you'll see the transfer out to the 181,522 for next year, which is just slightly lower than this year because the bond payments are getting a little smaller and smaller and budget lines.
Sure.
Well, that's it.
Okay. And we did the downtown.
You know, lost.
Oh, I'm getting there.
Okay. So currently, this is approximate, and I put this all in my notes, and hopefully it made sense. We're at about 945,000 in our lost account. As you see on the revenues, annually, we're about $390,000 is what we take in annually for lost. Again, this is local option sales tax money. I'll go to the expenditure page, and I'll just tell you the ones that we have gone over, and then potential new ones here. I upped the street lights because we added the ones over in the sports complex, so that's at $37,000. We paid $30,000 worth of insurance, $3,000 for fireworks for sauerkraut days, $4,000 for Southeast Lynn after-school program.
Is that still going on?
It's been changed to youth program.
It's a youth program.
Okay, I was like, it wasn't, yeah.
Last year, we did 400,000 sports complex. I would like to see that go in there again, but I'll get back to that in a minute. Dolly Parton Imagination Library, that's $1,000. I talked about that earlier. The emergency leveling, that's $29,547. And then that message sign for $25,000. The two additions, well, the sports complex again, $400,000. I did give you two printouts underneath that sign. It actually might be stapled together. These two, on the second two pages. So these are the ball fields. Don't get caught up into the amounts per se, because we have a meeting on the 7th to go over this with YTT, because there's going to be some significant savings that we can have in-house. But just a rough idea to get the ball diamonds in for the work that needs to go in. Based on what they have here is about $1.1 million. I don't know how much it's going to cost. That's what the meeting's for. However, currently we have approximately $511,000 in there currently, with another $100,000 that's in the set aside for that. There's probably going to be a sprinkler irrigation system coming for the soccer field. It's around 50 to 60. That'll be coming up in the next couple meetings. And then there's one more payment outstanding to Dave Schmidt to finish that. So with that $400,000, that's going to put us right near $1 million. Again, I don't know where we're sitting with this, but there's going to be some significant savings if we do some of this work in-house. The water main, the sewer, potential storm sewer, and potential some of the concrete. So,
So this is just for one ball field?
this is two.
Two, okay.
It'd be the two large ones, full scale.
Okay.
But again, we have a meeting on the 7th. I'll know a little bit more then as to the potential savings, but so I added the $400,000 into there. Also, I added $150,000. This is what was discussed before about the fire truck, and I think Doug, you had asked about it at one of the previous meetings, and I said it was going to be for lost. So there's a couple ways we can do this. We can look at bonding for a fire truck, or we can potentially use lost. Danny's here from the fire department. We've met with several different dealers on the fire truck. Long story short, if you get a plain Jane tanker, no pump, you're looking at $350,000, $370,000. I believe Mechanicsville just got a tanker. Theirs has a pump on it. It's for,
They haven't got it yet. They priced it.
okay, $430 or $450. You can get a pumper tanker for $625 to $650. We talked to the guy. He said basically they're making a spec truck that's a pumper tanker because all the towns are going this way because of the price of trucks. They're essentially getting two trucks for one. And the tanker that's 430 is a Freightliner. So the thought is for $200,000 more, you have a pumper and a tanker. Totally up to you guys what you want to do. Danny, you want to talk about the price increase and what you
So we run into a little pickle now with this truck, because obviously trucks are hard to get right now. And with the Spartan chassis, they're doing away with the L9 motor, which is a legendary motor for fire trucks, basically. They're going to start doing emissions motor. There's going to be a $70,000 price increase with this new motor, which is coming probably within the next couple months, for sure. Spartan is guaranteeing a lock-in price right now if we purchase the chassis within the next week or two, probably, if we agree to it. But you don't have to pay for the chassis for 9 to 12 months. We pay for the chassis on delivery, basically, of the chassis. So the chassis alone is $299,000. The problem is if we wait till after July 1st order, there's a good chance with the increase of the chassis and then the increase of the motor issue, it's going to cost us $100,000 more, just to wait till July 1st. So it's kind of it's something we really need to seriously look at if it's worth waiting till July 1st for $100,000. This new emissions motor, everybody's scared to death of it. It's got separate alternator system just to run the emissions. So, some people are saying stay away from it. Some people said we have no idea what it's going to do, how it's going to perform, but they have to go to it. They don't have a choice. But, so right now, Spartan's locking in a price right now is what they're saying. If you want this, you only got so many days to do this, or else basically we can't guarantee you nothing and you're probably going to have to increase is where we're at. So, it's your guys' money obviously, but
Well, no, it's not our money,
Your
it's city.
yeah, I mean, it's a catch-22 here.
That's what I think, bonding would be the way to go.
I mean, would you want to talk to Maggie and see if we want a bond for this?
We can, so I went through, and I don't know if that made sense in my notes here.
Because our sitting pretty good right
So
now.
there's 945,000 that's in loss.
So we have lost
Okay.
savings
So-
plus revenues, so.
If you did the sports complex for 400,000, and you took this entire, and you did the fire truck, and this portion of it for 150,000, fire department right now, as of July 1, is gonna have 130,000 the truck set aside. So that would give them 280,000 of the 625.
But aren't you going to be spending some of that on your new?
No, that's all done. The association's paying the rest of that. So with this 680,000 for next year, that would include the 400 and the 150. And the money that we take in, our 945 goes down to 655,000 remaining. So then, after that, you would still need approximately 300,000 to finish off the truck, essentially. And then you'd have another 390 coming in. Originally, my thought was, we order this in July, it's 150,000. You order it, you pay, there's another 150,000 in the next budget, and another 150,000 in the next budget. And in theory, when we're all done, we have the sports complex, the 2 diamonds, plus the fire truck, and we're still right around 550 to 560,000 sitting in loss.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, your set aside that you want to spend this on, wouldn't we be better off bonding it and you keep your set aside for something that might happen? I mean, because you're going to need a new one, something new again, sooner or later, I mean.
Well, honestly, the rescue, since we have a rescue pumper, as soon as that, something goes wrong with that, that goes away. You have a pumper tanker, so if something happens to the tanker, or when that lets go finally, that's gone. I mean, you have a medical truck, but you have $100,000 sitting there that.
Our thinking was to get rid of the rescue truck as soon as we get this new pumper and make the pumper that we got from West Branch a rescue pumper, since it's already got a cascade system.
4 or 5?
Yes, and just put our jaws, and there ain't a whole lot of other rescue equipment that's on that rescue truck, and then we could sell that truck. I don't anticipate it'd bring a lot of money, probably 40, 50,000 probably, but it's still something. And then that would eliminate that truck, and we have some issues with people driving it because it's stick shift. So, and it's very top heavy. So.
But I will say with the bond, there's a potential with that to include whatever we're short for Highway 30, because we all know that we're short if we want to repay that, so that's an option too. If you go to bond, that's one thing Maggie told us. She said you want to look at other projects with that to see if there's anything else you want to put on that.
How high is the bond interest
I
rate?
don't know that. We didn't get
We're
that.
definitely not at a low point right now for
Right.
interest rates, so.
And I do know that we did pay off, well, this year we're paying off one of the sewer bonds, and then we are gonna start the process of paying the other one off early with those funds. So, one is coming off, but I can certainly look into that. She didn't say it'd be too tough of a deal, we just gotta meet with bond counsel and get what we wanna do,
But with that, remember that bonding requires attorney fees, bonding, counsel's fees, interest fees. Lost, there's no interest with it.
Council fees?
I don't like
Bond
it.
counsel,
I don't like seeing lost, you know, we need to spend lost,
yes.
but you don't wanna, you know,
You don't want to complete.
it's 500,000 is kinda where, that's where I feel comfortable with it. So,
And your plan would keep us above that for.
now the other thing too is we
4 years,
could,
right?
we could bond for the truck, and then we could complete the sports complex with lost. I mean, there's different, you know, there's different things that you can do, but, that's just kinda where we're at. We can wait too, but that's,
I don't wanna wait to get this fire truck. I wanna get this going. I mean, anytime you wait for anything, you're gonna pay more. I mean, that's the way it always works, so.
Is there a way where you could just, I mean, you ain't gonna have the chassis for almost a year, so there's a way we could go ahead and sign it basically, and then have the funds just for the chassis, and the rest of the truck bond for the rest of it?
Well, that's what I was gonna have Brandon and Christina do, is see
what was the
what's the
300,000?
best option for us.
Yeah, the chassis was $299, and so the whole truck's around $650, basically. That's if we were to order
I was gonna have Brandon and
soup.
Christina talk to Maggie and see what our best options are of how, you know, I mean, we could pay some of the truck out of there and bond for the rest. But like I said, we don't have any idea how much this is gonna cost us. If we ever get it done, you know, I mean, we don't even know how much, what we tore up this year is gonna cost us yet.
Right. I mean, to put it a little bit of perspective, Ely's price of just a pumper right now, and they're at 900,000. So, we're not getting a fancy truck. I mean, it's gonna be nice, don't get me wrong, but it ain't the, you know, what you could get.
One thing I made sure of in this quote, you know, the deck gun was a separate outside of this 600, because we already have 2 deck guns. Just stuff like that where if you're duplicating resources, it doesn't make sense, because all 3 of those trucks aren't gonna be at that fire. So, but
I think it sounds like a good plan, and we ought to have it on our next agenda to.
Yeah, if we could just get like a couple options, you know, if we spend,
With the bonding option.
yeah, with the, you know, spend money plus bonding, or bonding separate completely, or.
So do you want me to make sure that we have enough to purchase the chassis between truck set aside and lost?
I would say you to get the chassis if it's ordered. I mean, if it's gonna be $100,000 more for it.
And every manufacturer's telling the exact same thing, so it's not just one person trying to sell it. Everybody's saying the same
We
thing.
did originally talk to, was it Toying?
Twenty saying the
They
exact same.
said no, but then they called back and said, yeah, we just got their memo too, so.
Now, by ordering now, are we getting what's currently being built, or with all the extra evolution?
No, we're supposed to be getting the motor that we want.
Okay, good, because I hate to be the first one on a.
That's,
Oh, exactly.
but we don't, I mean, I'll just be honest, we don't have much time,
Yeah.
you know, unfortunately.
So do you want to take the chassis to make sure we have enough out of lost, and then bond for the rest? Or look at bonding for the rest?
Yeah, look at bonding for the rest, or look at us, that if we can pay for the rest, we give us a couple different options. I mean, I don't want to drain our lost funds, per se. And I know we're not going to, but I mean,
Well, worst case scenario, instead of 655, you're still going to be at 600,000 at the end, doing exactly what's on your sheet right here, just adding this 200,000 down here for the fire truck, then you would have 300,000 in there, and you'd be at 650, 605.
605.
Sorry, 605 at the end of next year.
Or we could take the money from the ball diamonds, put on that too, and bond for the ball diamonds.
Correct, but then you also need to remember, you don't wanna get too much over $1 million in loss, so.
No, I mean, but,
Yeah.
I just, next meeting, just give us a couple options.
Okay.
I mean, that'll,
I'll get the rate
That'll be
and
February.
kind of see how
Yeah.
everything plays out.
So I'm gonna be the other side of the
Yep.
Why do we need a new truck already?
Tankers.
I just know what this point is.
Me?
No, anybody.
Our tanker's about ready to leak, blow a side out of it.
So will that affect your ISO rating with not having two tankers?
Half of us up here don't even know about that, so.
No, it's all about, actually, the biggest thing, we've improved our ISO, and the biggest thing is auto aid with Mount Vernon, because they go out on points. And keep in mind, ISO rating has nothing to do with anything in the city. The city is all based on hydrants and water tower and capacity. In the rural, the ISO comes into play, and that is how much water you can pump for a certain amount of time. Don't quote me on it, I believe it's 250 gallons a minute for 12 minutes.
So the ISO has nothing to do with the city?
It does, but nothing with the tanker. It's all based on water lines, hydrants, water tower, all that stuff. But when it comes to tanker, the water capacity, that's where it's outside of the rural setting, because those trucks go there.
So like the tanker we have now, just so everybody knows, we remounted it once already. And that body and pump is a 1989, I believe, and the chassis is a 99. So we're getting, and everybody knows with steel tank what happens. Obviously, Mike, you fire chief for many years, they just don't last that long. So, and both of our pumpers, one's 05 and one's 06. So we're getting at that age where the next, I mean, we wouldn't take delivery of this new one for at least 2 years. So, you know,
No, I'm just,
that's the reason why we wanted
I
it.
just think that just because you have more money, you gotta need to spend it all.
No, that's why I said.
We got a town right across the street, that's auto page, it's got, between the two towns, there's billions of dollars of equipment.
That's correct. Yep. That's why,
So what are we gonna buy next, an aerial?
They're $2 million.
Give it a door.
For the next meeting, I'd like to know what the interest rate's running and what it costs to bond as opposed to using loss.
Okay. Just give us all of our options. So we're done with all of our budget stuff? Nice. Discussion possible action in reference to change order number 6 for water main improvements in the amount of $12,400.14. Dave?
Yes, so there are two parts to this. The first part is for sidewalk on Main and Jackson Northeast corner. And what occurred there is that the grading of the house is pretty steep. They put a curb on either side of the sidewalk to hold the bank, so the grading didn't have to be steep for remove landscaping in order to put that in. Looking at the cost for curb and gutter, 6-inch per bid was $47 a foot. If you double that, you're getting close to that $100 a foot. We have 44 feet of curb and gutter, which gets us the bulk of that. We also have the sidewalk and the detectable lines that are in this cost as well. So looked at that makes sense. They made a decision on the site to do it that way to try to preserve as much of the yard as possible. So that's the first part of that. The second part is cold weather concreting. And there was some discussion. The completion date on the project is July 26th, and the contractor was looking to wait until warmer weather so they didn't incur cost for cold weather protection. They had some discussion with Brandon and Travis, and the decision was made to go ahead and compensate them for the cold weather concreting so they can get the bulk of the work done and get things buttoned up over the winter. So that is the second part of that. Both of those have been discussed previously with Travis and Brandon, and I recommend approving that as a change order.
and that was work on Jackson Street.
So that's Montgomery sidewalk.
talked every sidewalk.
Well, that's not done yet. This is gonna be all the concrete, the curb line there in front of the park, all that is done is part of this. Because otherwise it was gonna stay like that.
Need a motion.
Need a motion?
Need a motion, make a motion.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion of possible action in reference to pay estimate number 8 to BJ Brecke Incorporated in the amount of $105,562.71.
This is just to get everything current, including that change order that was just discussed for the contractor. We will have some work we'll get in the spring, but this does pay them for everything that's been done to date. Recommend approval.
Make a motion to approve it.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion of possible action in reference to downtown reinvestment rebate.
That's for D&D Body. Again, this is their grant that they received. You can see the documents there. Historic Preservation went over it. They recommend paying it. It's for $1,443.
So moved.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? City engineer report, no correspondence.
Don't really have much to report. Travis and I were going to look at some options for water treatment, but he's been preoccupied with boy stuff, so I'll have to try to work with his schedule and be able to do that.
Anybody got any questions for Dave? Do you have anything in correspondence? Public work.
I'll cover that.
Okay. Parks and Rec.
Not a whole lot, moving a lot of snow, and we started boys basketball last Wednesday. We'll have the first games this Saturday. Other than that, we'll have a quote hopefully at the next meeting for irrigation for the soccer side of the sports complex, and start registrations for spring soccer sometime towards the end of February.
You did great. Police department.
Yeah, the police report you have, probably remember a week or so ago, many schools in the area received an active threat to their schools, including West Branch and a couple other communities. We deployed officers to each school district here. We didn't receive the calls locally, thankfully, but we're in contact with school superintendents, and we'll continue those conversations, training options, and working with them on security plans too. So.
How did the winter storm go?
We actually fared fairly well, other than just a couple minor accidents, nothing too major for us, other than been working on tagging and removing vehicles and clearing streets from that, trying to keep making sure everything's getting opened up from there. So it was good working with whole city crews, and we're to put 2 feet of snow. So.
Any questions for Doug? Ambulance?
I don't have anything from him tonight.
Fire chief?
Nothing fire department related.
City administrator?
All right, I'll just cover kind of some of the stuff Travis wanted to go over as well in here. Obviously, I've been working a lot with budgets, different department heads, getting all this stuff all in line. Working with Christina, going over all the inputs, re-estimates, and what have you. I talked about the upcoming meeting on the 7th. I will let the liaisons depart know. I believe it's like 1:30 on the 7th. It's a Wednesday. Deal with a lot of snow issues, nuisances, people blowing snow in other people's yards and driving through their yards to plow. Obviously the snow came in a short amount of time, 2 storms in a matter of 4 days. Just know we're doing the best that we can. There's some damage to mailboxes, people getting their driveways blocked in. The biggest issue we come across is everybody blows their street, or a lot of people blow their snow to the street. Then it ends up being this battle between the snowplow and the snowblower. Snowplow usually wins, but just know that try to do your best to keep snow on your property the best you can. This doesn't happen very often, so it's not surprising. I know that with the wind and all the snow events, just asking for residents to please keep their sidewalks clear. I know it's virtually impossible. I think Drake's probably done the city hall sidewalk 20 times. I know it's tough, but warm weather's coming, so if you can get out there, please get those cleared the best you can. We did have our quarterly staff meeting here with some pizza for everybody, so that went good. Had a phone conference call over the group insurance, so that's going to be coming up for renewal that you'll see here in the coming meetings. Met with Rickard Sign and Design, referenced some banners on the poles. Some of them you'll see are kind of faded to a purple. We're going to try to incorporate the new banners starting in July for the sesquicentennial, so we'll put some information on there about that to spice things up a little bit. New librarian, they talked about, she's going to start February 1st, so look forward to meeting her then. And big thanks to the city staff, especially the snow crew. Some long days there, and it just kind of keeps going. So I think all in all, I think they did a pretty good job. We're going to work on getting the avenues. They're a little narrow in places, so we're going to try to blow them back the best we can. But if you have any concerns or questions, please see me after the meeting, and I'll try to get those addressed. And I will be out of the country Friday to Friday, so I'll have my email, but I will not have phone service. That's all I got.
You going to Canada?
No. It's the annual Keep a Marriage Happy trip.
I mean, anything for Brandon?
Thank you.
Council, Nate.
I don't have anything other than just a profound thanks to the city crews and Drayton for getting the snow removed and the impossible task that was. That's it.
Ditto. The only other thing would be is are we gonna have this on the sign?
I'll put it
We're gonna have
the
it on the next
Yes, you
meeting.
Yep.
Fish,
Not over it.
got them all with this part.
Done?
Yeah, thanks to all those involved in snow removal, and thank you to Amy White for her years of service. That's all I have.
Kevin?
Nothing.
And all I'm gonna say is thanks for all the city workers, all they do, even the girls inside here. I mean, I'm sure they got quite a few phone calls over the last week also too, so I appreciate all the work they do. And to the fire departments and police departments.
Thank you, yes.
We got anything else? Christina, anything?
I'm up next, okay?
But are you, got anything work? All right, possible closed session, pursuant to code of Iowa section 21.5, one I to evaluate the professional competency of an individual for employment, hiring, performance, or discharge as being considered necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation and that individual's request of a closed session. Christina, would you like to go into closed session?